Good morning, good afternoon, good night. The third topic for the first class. It is about collecting primary data. What did we do? We had an overview about marketing research in its entirety. Then we focused on the use of secondary sources, and now I will tell you something about collecting primary data. What are primary data? Well, two definitions. Cooper and Schindler primary data are the data that the researcher collects to address specific problem at hand. And Saunders, Lewis and Thornhill say primary data are data collected for the research projects being undertaken. In other words, in your case, data that are specifically collected by you for your purpose, for your startup. And investors, they attach a lot of value to carefully collected primary data. Well, other examples of primary data are inventory records, personnel records. Every company keeps records of their employees, but minutes of meetings are also primary data, and often we call these data raw data. Quantitative data versus qualitative data. Quantitative data are countable. Example, how many employees arrive by bike. Qualitative data, however, they cannot be counted. Qualitative data are derived from spoken, written, typed or printed words, or still or moving visual images. Example, what are your personal associations with the word insurance? If I would ask each one of you, everyone has different personal associations. Quantitative data are countable data that you have collected yourself. Well, here an example. Who is your provider for mobile telephone services? KPN, Vodafone, Tele2, Lebara, or different? And how can you collect these data? Well, a paper questionnaire, give someone a form, please answer the question on paper, or an online questionnaire sent to someone through mail, or just ask people oral questionnaire and tick the boxes yourself. Paper questionnaire, well, you are familiar with that. An online questionnaire, I'm convinced that each one of you has filled out an online questionnaire several times. An oral questionnaire, you print the list of questions, you put them on a clipboard, you ask people, can I ask you a few questions, and while they give answer, you tick the boxes. That's a very effective way of collecting quite a huge number of questionnaires. Features of a questionnaire. All participants are treated equally. The same questions in the same order. And it's most of the times impossible to ask every member of a population. Therefore, you draw a sample. You ask not all students of NHL Stenden. No, you only ask 200 of them. We call that a sample. But the sample should be large enough to be representative for the entire population. Another way of collecting primary data are observations. Structured observations are also a quantitative method of data collection. So you hop on the bike, you ride your bike through the city, and then you count each glass container. Is there room for more glass or not? Well, in this case, I don't think there is more room in the container. Qualitative primary data. Primary qualitative data provide you with insights in the minds of your respondents. You apply qualitative research when you want to understand people. And what are the most used methods? Individual interviews. So interview people one-on-one, or collect a group of people and let them talk. And each method can be very helpful. Individual interviews. In an individual interview, the interviewee does the talking. The interviewer must be an attentive listener and encourages the interviewee to speak freely. An example, you want to know more about brand loyalty, therefore you interview people who love Apple products. Each of them has a different story, how long the history, etc. And interviewing people about their loyalty to Apple can give you much information on brand loyalty. And what people tell you, that is primary data. Focus group interview. If you interview a group of people who share several features, then you conduct a focus group interview. And what does it mean, share features? People who belong more or less to the same group. So, for instance, working people between 40 and 50, or taxi drivers. Focus groups are always homogeneous groups. And in market research, market researchers use focus group interviews a lot. And here are a few occasions where they did it. If you present a new logo or a new name, then it is wise to present your idea to a few focus groups because they might give you feedback. Well, here two logos that were not that well chosen. And if the company had done focus group interviews, well, they probably would have chosen another logo. You can combine qualitative and quantitative research. It depends on your research question and your research goals, but you can do quantitative research only, and that's fine. You can do qualitative research only, and that can be very fine for your purposes. What you can do as well, first do qualitative research. Interview a few people and use the outcomes of these interviews to draw up a questionnaire. And sometimes you have option 4. You first do quantitative research, you hand out questionnaires, and when you have collected the questionnaires, then you start discussing the outcomes of your questionnaires with experts, for instance. Which approach you choose, well, it depends on your research question and your research goals. Finally, a bonus assignment. What might be the connection between this record cover and marketing? Well, you can tell me in class or in next class. Okay, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye.